1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to
say what's cracking YouTube. It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing on that intro right there, man. But anyway, enough of that. Let's hop right up into this video. So today we have an extremely serious video, man. The autopsy reports are back on the beating of a man known as Robert L. Green, who was a New York prisoner. And the autopsy reports come back and they show that, of course, what we saw in the video was confirmed that his death was definitely a murder. The autopsy reports revealed that he died due to compression of the neck and blunt force trauma to the body. Now, for those of you guys who may not be familiar with this case, let me take you back and give you a little bit of information on this case. Robert L. Brooks is an individual who lived in New York, and I believe somewhere around 2016, he was arrested for stabbing his long-term girlfriend several times in the upper torso. He was given a 12-year sentence, and so he was about halfway through that sentence. He was locked up in a facility known as the Mohawk facility. I believe it's in Oneida County in New York. It's a medium and a maximum security, and he was being transferred to another prison known as Marcy Correctional Facility. Somewhere during that transfer, I guess something occurred. It's not necessarily being revealed what possibly happened, but what they do have on camera is a 10-minute portion of him being carried. Now, when I say carried, I'm saying carried because he's handcuffed behind his back. Now, all this incident, this beating, it was caught on body cameras being worn by these prison guards. But unbeknownst to them, they didn't know that the cameras was recording. They had their cameras in something that is known as standby mode, so they didn't realize that they were recording this incident. Now, I don't know how much I'll be able to show on this video due to YouTube's policy against violence, and also to keep it 100, man. It's just a cold video, man. So it shows Robert L. Brooks, who was 43 at the time, being taken, I guess, from a prison transport van, being carried with his hands behind his back. They're carrying him to a medical examining room at another prison. The officers are beating him. They're punching him. You know, at one point in time, you have some officers holding him down, prison guards, and you got another prison guard kicking him with his shoe, putting his foot all on his neck. Then they snatch him up, and keep in mind that at the going on of all this, his hands are behind his back. He's handcuffed with his hands behind his back. There's no sound. And then at one point, one of the officers just hauls off and bam, punches him real hard in the ribs, Then at one point he loses consciousness. It's a horrific video, right? You have 14 prison guards who was involved in that incident. It's being reported that 2 sergeants was also present, and it's also a nurse. The majority of them have been suspended without pay. Now, the beating happened on December 9th. He was taken to a hospital and he passed away on December 10th of last year. Then the incident was made public December December 15th. And then, as I stated earlier in the video, the autopsy reports just came out and confirmed what the video showed, that he was murdered basically due to these beatings that he received. Now, the initial reports on this incident said that he died in a confrontation with prison guards, right? Well, yeah, that's definitely a cold confrontation. I don't know if you would call that a confrontation, man. And that's, that's horrific, right? That's nothing less than horrific. And, with me, it hits different, right? It resonates different with me because I can genuinely imagine being in that situation, man. Let me tell you guys something, right, about being in prison. And this is why you have a lot of dudes who have a great disdain for law enforcement, prison guards, anybody who is connected to that type of thing, right? When you in prison and you happen to get into it with a guard, specifically and especially for that moment, and a lot of times even later, but especially at that moment, you're wrong. You are 100% wrong. You are 100% wrong, and there is really no way to win this particular situation. Well, you may have a lot of people out there who've never been to prison say, well, in that situation, why doesn't the prisoner, the inmate, the convict, or whatever, just remain calm and, try to get some recourses in a different way? Well, I've been in that situation a couple of times where you just feel so angry because you are being so wrongfully treated that in the moment, you're just not thinking, logically. Imagine anyone being treated, definitely being treated unfairly. It's going to cause an anger in you, especially when you are in a position to where there's nothing that you can do about it, or you feel that there's nothing that you can do about it. And so that's why you have so many convicts lash out and assault these guards and stuff at certain times, because the unfairness of it all. You've been dealing with this for a long time, and so sometimes you just blank out. In these situations where you get into a confrontation with a guard, as I stated before, many times it's going to be several guards, 10 to 15 guards. They're going to handcuff you. They're definitely going to use unnecessary force to restrain you, get their kicks in, all that type of stuff. And that's just going to incense you even more and cause you to become angry. I definitely believe that those prison guards are sweating right now. They know what it is. They know they're getting ready to go do a lot of time, and I'm betting 100% that a lot of them are going to try to save themselves, start telling on one another and stuff like that, because it's definitely a murder caught on tape, right? And it's not many people who I enjoy seeing go to jail, right? But I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I don't care what nobody say, man. I love to see and hear about crooked cops going to prison. I get an extreme joy. I get an extreme joy from it. It's almost orgasmic. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason being is this here, and I don't care whether it's right or wrong. It is what it is. Chill is human like everybody else. I have faults and flaws and so on and so forth, right? But the reason is because being the individual who I was, and especially being the gang member who I was, I believe that a dude should frontline the situation, meaning that if you're in this type of lifestyle, you should take charge. And if you're going to tell somebody else to do it, you should be willing to do it. And you should also be willing to practice what you preach, right? So if I'm going to tell some of my younger homies in a certain situation, you got to perform this type of way or whatever, then I'm going to perform that way myself. And so the thing with these correctional officers and, cops, prison guards, so on and so forth, you guys are supposedly on the side of righteousness, law abiding, that type of thing, protecting a person's rights, his constitution, right? And so when you're not practicing what you preach, the gang member in me, I guess we can say, it becomes upset because I used to practice what I preach, right? And I think we all, that's just human nature, right? Let me give you guys a quick example, right? And break it down in a little more detail. Now, we've all heard of individuals falling from grace. Let's go with a pastor, right? Say you got the pastor of the church. He's preaching about Jesus, following the Bible, doing right in the eyes of the Lord. He set certain morals for the churchgoers that he wants them to follow. Then one day he gets caught having sex with the 30-year-old fine girl that's singing in the choir and all this old type of stuff. Now, I don't think the average person is upset with this dude because he's having a sexual relationship and he's messing with this fine young lady. I think they're upset because he has not followed the morals and the ethics that he has put out there for everyone else to follow. So he has not been practicing what he is preaching. And I think that's what causes the vast majority of people who would get upset with an individual in that situation to become upset. And so that's the point that I'm trying to make in relation to these prison guards. You hold people to a higher standard, right? You go in there and you have the authority to make a already drastic situation for a prisoner worse. You can beat him. You can lie on him. You can take the small amount of freedom that he already has away by putting him in the hole, putting him in a more constrictive environment based on something that he does wrong or based on something that you've deemed that he does wrong, because there's very little justice in prison. There's no courts for these dudes. Once you get accused of something, every little small thing that you have that can make that life a little bit more pleasurable is stripped away from you on the whim of another dude. You know, these dudes in prison, these correctional officers, they are extremely whimsical, and it all depends on how they're feeling that day, right? And so when you see these individuals handcuff a dude, beat him, kick him, strip him naked, he loses unconsciousness, they're punching and stuff on him. You know, I love to see dudes like that go to jail, man. So hopefully real soon we'll see some justice for Robert Brooks, especially for his family, man, who had to watch this horrific beating. I saw an interview, they was talking to his son, and his son, who was the son of the woman he stabbed. You know, he said that he had spoke to his father. His father, was remorseful. He had felt that, God had forgiven him, and his son was still supporting his father, right? Even though the father stabbed the mother. So I mean, that's an internal situation that they have to deal with. And if his son forgave the father, then I'm not gonna sit here and judge him for whatever he done, right, in that situation to his long-term girlfriend. But anyway, his son, his father, the father of Robert Brooks, his family had to, witness his last moments, seeing him handcuffed, beat like that. So it had to be horrific, man. So like I say, I'm hoping soon, man, and I will revel in the moment that these officers get sent to prison for a long time, which I know a lot of them will. And it is what it is, man. Once again, rest in peace to Robert Brooks. I'm waiting to see these dudes go to jail. And man, do your time like I did mine. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.